gorgeous souls. I'm Jill Lindsay, the founder of Essence Studio. I've been behind the scenes just kind of scheming and preparing and taking care of myself over the last probably about year, and I'm excited to be back and be here. I just finished hosting a beautiful meditation, and today's energy feels extra special to me. Today is 11/11, and I really want to talk to and share a little bit more about how I really see how manifestation works. 1111 is definitely a representation of the energy of manifestation, but I often find that we don't particularly understand. It's like the hardest thing in terms of energetics to really grasp and understand, and how to create within that, because there are so many different ways that it is explained. And I'm somebody that really likes to understand how things work. So I want to kind of explain today and put it out there today, my own explanation for how this works. And we'll be working more into ways to work together more so that we can have a consistent channel for creation, a consistent space for creation, and continue the momentum throughout the year together so that it can become a more accessible thing to create and feel safe to do so. So, manifestation, this is kind of a really recent realization that I've had about manifestation. It is something that I have been trying to understand for the longest time, hearing different people speak about it and that, but I needed to break it down in a way that it makes sense and can be kind of explained, but also it's really important to actually do the practice and really feel into the energy of what we are creating. So, manifestation, if you think about it more in the way of the word resonance. So, you may have heard other people talk about being aligned with certain things, or being attached to certain energy, or, having specific ways of, faltering into other energies. So, what does this all really mean? Like, what is actually happening with our energy and our energetics around this? So, resonance, if you break it down even further and just like simple science kind of terms, is if you think about one cell in your body, one cell living in your liver, or one cell flowing through your bloodstream. Of course, we have multiple millions, trillions of cells in our body, and they all have different functions and all work in different ways, but they have this code that it is working into. So our soul code, breaks down all the way into our DNA, and we have this energetic map of ourselves that we are continuously moving forward and evolving as the time goes on, because that is how we are meant to move on. But there's also this idea of how we can actually work with that in order to create things in our lives maybe a little faster than if we just floated through life, didn't make any choices. Where would we get to if we didn't make choices in our life? So, back to this idea of resonance. If we imagine a cell and an atom vibrating at a certain rate, and then it can adjust its rate depending on what its functionality is, and it likely can move, I don't know for sure, but maybe it moves in the body to different places and is able to support different systems. But in order to do that, it needs to adjust itself. And there's a lot of aspects within us that just go with the subconscious kind of waves and do what it needs to do. Our heart beats without us thinking about it. But if we can actually kind of tap into what we are wanting to create and this idea of resonance, then we want to adjust our energy to match that of our manifestation, or match that of something that we want to create, or see in our lives or bring to our attention. So if we are thinking about even just one string on a guitar, you play it, it has a certain frequency, and you understand like, oh, I feel that note in my heart, or I feel that, and it can expand on this using one small example, but frequencies and energy overlay each other and they have different wavelengths, so they're kind of passing by each other at different rates. And that can kind of clash sometimes, and they may not recognize like each wave going at a rate. If we're comparing our manifestation to where our energy is in terms of matching that or being able to even see that possibility, is that our frequency is moving at a different rate. So it just passes by, this one goes up, this one just goes by, and they don't really connect. So I kind of realization and idea when I was doing my guitar lessons last week, and the instructor kind of mentioned this idea of that some rock bands actually listen to the resonance and understand the resonance and the frequency of their speaker, and they tune their guitar to have the same frequency as the speaker in order for the sound to link up, and it sounds much more clear and much louder because the frequencies actually meet and are moving at the same rate. So if we can imagine something that we see out in the world or out in our vision that we want to get to and we want to move towards, if we can spend time visualizing that manifestation or that vision for our life and sit with it and allow our energy to adjust to the frequency of what that particular manifestation is, then we can bring energetically, that's where this attraction kind of term comes in, or the alignment it's just matching, and now it can move as one and move together rather than kind of trying to go up and over and under and missing each other. So this again, like if you have been trying to manifest something for eons and it just isn't happening, it just keeps missing the mark, then just consider this idea of being able to adjust your energy to match that. I just taught a beautiful class and we practiced what it feels like to actually work on adjusting this energy. We utilized Reiki, we utilized the life force energy that we each have a connection to in order to bring that forward. So I highly encourage you to reach out if you have questions about this. I'm going to be teaching more on this, and I do like to teach these things within one-on-one sessions. So if you're kind of trying to create something really specific in your life, or you're having trouble understanding how does the energy work to this, like I really want to understand what I need to do, we utilize your own energetic connection to discover what those things are, because I can't necessarily do that for you. You need to get into your energy to really start to relate to the relationships that are going on energetically in your life in order to do that. If you have any questions about this idea of resonance, I'd love to go further in this chat and just ask your questions in the comment box below, and we'll just dive into this a little bit more. What I really want you to focus on today for 1111 is allowing yourself to create a bit of space to be able to just sit in meditation and imagine a thread that is in your life, something that you can kind of work back into your childhood and go, oh, this is something that keeps popping up, and maybe right now at this time today you're just kind of wanting to edge into that more. My example for this would be music. So I took piano when I was 5 till 8, and then I stopped. Then I played sports for a little while, and then all of a sudden in grade 5 till 7, I was able to take music lessons again, and I started playing the clarinet. And then we moved, and I hadn't really played any sort of instrument or had access to any instruments for probably until I was in grade 12, when I was like, I want to buy myself a guitar. Um, didn't really know what the heck I was going to do with the guitar. Didn't really plan on taking lessons. Didn't take lessons, just kind of played around a little bit, but felt really intimidated by this idea. We did have a piano in my house that I also never played because I just felt completely and utterly intimidated by the idea of making music or creating music or even just trying to play. And then I went off and did a bunch of other things in my life, and maybe not 5 years ago, I went and took a class for sound therapy healing and learned how to do that, and just kind of understood more and more about, oh, frequencies and different notes relate to different aspects in the body, and how does that affect our energy and our adjustment of our energy. And just listening to music alone itself just became more potent of an experience for me. And as I went along, I started having visions of me in the future just playing music or sharing my own music with people, in a big community. And I just like, what, did not understand what this vision was whatsoever. Why am I envisioning this? It didn't feel close to me at all, but I did see it, and it was arriving in my field. I just didn't understand what it was all about. And as I went along, I started just playing around with. I asked for a keyboard for Christmas, got a thrift store keyboard, and that is now the keyboard that I utilize to make the music for Essence Studio and all of the experiences for Essence Studio. And I just recently started actually taking guitar lessons, and I'm having so many epiphanies on, wow, like I can actually create music if I want to. And I'm going along that path, and it's extremely potent for me right now to be going on this path of learning music. And it's exciting because it feels like it's now kind of, I am becoming that future self that I saw 5 years ago. And part of that aspect has already arrived in my life because I have been able to produce music and share it, with the community. So how cool is that? So I want you to have that kind of experience. And I realized that, with over time, being able to connect with ourselves in this idea of adjusting our energy daily or whenever we feel like we need to. Sometimes I go without it and I go, wow, I needed an adjustment. So, what we are creating at Essence Studio is, I'm going to give you a few little hints, but it's going to take a bit of time to create, is just a way of having energy healing and that act of adjusting our energy and transforming our energy to line up to the things we want in our lives, but keeping a momentum about it. So, not just doing it once in a while here or there. It's actually such an important part of my everyday life, and I really would love to share the process of that with the community. And I can imagine us all getting together monthly just to create and connect. And it really is a potent way to create when you get to experience that with other individuals that are trying to do the same thing. And 88 meditators on Insight Timer today was just, I realized like how incredibly powerful that really is, to have a community gathered together in order to, with the same kind of common intention to create in their lives. And another important part for us here at Essence is to create a safe space and a safe environment so that you feel very clear and connected to create those things. Because with creating energy comes with letting go and all of these other aspects that does take time to learn and understand, and we just have to nurture ourselves through that journey. So, Essence Studio, we're going to be creating a home for you to be able to continuously adjust your energy at a very accessible rate and place. So I'm excited. And yeah, we'll talk really, really soon. Love you all. Happy 1111.